Hello again, everybody, and welcome to Tuesday's edition of Big Blue Kickoff Live, presented by Cadillac, the official luxury vehicle of the New York Football Giants. Paul Dottino, Matt Sitek with you, back-to-back days. How about that?
Yeah.
And we come to you from the Giants podcast studio, presented by Hackensack Meridian Health. Keep getting better. Our phone number is 201-939-4513. And if you're not catching this show live on the app, on the internet site, or on the New York Giants YouTube page, you can always get it as part of the entire podcast network on the archive on the Giants mobile app, podcast platforms everywhere, the Giants YouTube channel, and at giants.com/podcasts. Folks, it was a big day here yesterday in that Malik Nabers cleared another hurdle in his rehabilitation. For the second time during training camp, he donned a red practice jersey, which means he's allowed to get out onto the field and do a few things, not everything, but a few things. And the red jersey means everybody, heads up, don't touch him under any circumstance. Do not touch him. Do not sneeze on him. Do not breathe on him. Don't get within 5 inches of him. Leave him alone. Not a bad idea. Safety precautions, right? As he's coming off of that very serious knee injury. So yesterday was shells only, which means shoulder pads and helmets. And the Giants went through, I would say, what we're calling a competitive jog through, which means it wasn't full speed, but they were gearing it up a little bit, especially in the 7-on-7 passing drills, of which Nabers had a number of catches, including a very nice over-the-head stab in the middle of the field, which was kind of fun. And I think both of us saw it. I know everybody else on the sideline saw it. His emotions kind of got to him there, as he said afterwards, the dog wanted to come out of me.
Yeah, I mean, on that play in particular you just mentioned, he did a little bit of a, I guess, celebration after. I think he was kind of mentioned. The dog was coming out of him a little bit. Like, he was so happy to be out there making, leaping grabs again that he just got a little excited. And I think it was John that was standing on the sideline with us. Like, for a second thought, oh no, maybe he got hurt. But no, it was just Malik, celebrating the big catch that he had. And it was really great to just see him out there running in team drills with the rest of the team. And, no pads, but still, full speed. Everyone was still, going out there 100%. Great to just see him out there. He said after that he felt good after practice. Coach said that he, from all accounts, it seems like everything went well. Obviously, I would say the day after a practice like that is even more important to see how he's feeling. So, we'll find out soon enough. But in general, it was just great to see him. And you could tell that the team was so pumped to see him out there running with the rest of them.
Well, I think one of the very interesting parts about this, and everybody I've ever talked to who has to come back from a very serious injury, and Lord knows he had a serious knee injury. They will always tell you, and I've had this conversation with Amani Toomer twice in the last month and a half, the physical stuff, the doctors could do things to repair you. You could do the rehab to get yourself right. But it's the emotions and the mental part of it. As Nabers described, and I thought this was very interesting. I'd never heard anybody describe this before when coming back from an injury. To paraphrase, and I know you have the quote up, he talked about how he had his soul back. I mean, folks, for those of you who don't understand what professional athletes go through, when they get injured and they have to go to the side and they're working in the trainer's room, or they're working on the sideline, or they're working on the bike, or they're in the backfield doing sprints, they feel removed from the team. They don't feel like they're truly part of the heartbeat of the organization anymore. It's a lonely existence when you are injured, especially if it's a long-term rehab. And the way that Nabers described it, and you can read a couple lines off of this, Matt, because it was from yesterday's presser. I don't know how many of you got a look at the video clip the Giants put up on Giants.com. But if you have a chance, listen to what Matt's going to read for you, but go back and watch the video, because he was very reflective and very introspective. And it's quite clear that, this is something that's really gotten to the heart of him as a football player. And I will say this, I appreciate the fact that he took it so hard, because it seems like he's foaming at the mouth to get back out there again and to be that dog that we know he can be. And I know that I've seen players on occasion who don't have that kind of foaming at the mouth when they come back from injury. They actually lose a little bit of their zest for the game because they've been hurt, and it affected them so much. He seems like he's ready to take it on an attack.
Oh, without a doubt. I mean, he was asked yesterday, so the question was, how much does a day like today give you the feel that, all the hard work, the whole journey through your rehab, it was all worth it? And his response, right off the bat, he said, "Man, my soul has been dead for so long, just being away and knowing what I could accomplish, knowing where I was before all of this happened." Let's not forget, he had one of the best rookie receiving seasons in Giants history, and let alone, NFL. And then he goes, "But every tear, every talk with my family, every down day, every day that I didn't complete something, it just kept that in the back of my head, and I continued. Even when I thought it wasn't going well, my leg wasn't feeling the best, just continue to just praise God, knowing that everything was going to be all right. Listen to the trainers. Every day is not going to be the best day possible. I'm not going to feel completely better all in one day, but just continue to take it step by step, day by day." And the finished product was just all those days and all those days that I felt good. Continue to push more. I'm just thankful for where I am at. So I'm with you. You could tell, was just so ecstatic to be back out there. Again, not 100%, not doing everything by any means.
And he wouldn't put a number on it, by the way. He wouldn't say where he is, nor would John Harbaugh.
Correct.
We don't know where he is, but we did see him run routes pretty fluidly.
Yeah, he ran routes. We've seen him kind of do that off to the side before, and he's looked good doing it. But yesterday was the first time we we saw him doing it in team drills, running full speed with everyone else also running full speed. He looked good out there. He looked good. So again, no one is putting a timeline on this. There's no set return date by any means. As Coach and Malik have both said, they're going to take it day by day, which is what you need to do coming off a serious injury like Malik had. But, he is certainly headed in the right direction. And if he just keeps it up with the way that it currently seems to be going, it's not going to be long before we see him out.
No, this was a key hurdle.
Yeah.
There's no question about that. It was one of those milestones that you have to pass if you're going to get to grandma's house. Now, John Harbaugh did say there's still hope, and they're praying that he will be ready for week 1 against the Dallas Cowboys. So while we're not getting a timetable and we're not getting any assurances that he'll be there, we're also not getting any naysayers either. Nobody is saying that he can't be ready for the Cowboys. Now, I think the other interesting part to this, too, is that not only was this a big deal for Nabers and the coaching staff, but it was a big deal for his teammates. Did you see the reaction from the teammates? You could tell they were extra jacked up. They had a little juice going on yesterday. The receivers in particular, that group seemed to have a little extra buzz about them because they knew that Malik was back on the field.
Yeah, without a doubt. And it wasn't just the receivers. Cam Skadaboo spoke to the media yesterday as well.
But Cam's always jacked up.
He is always jacked up. And the two of those guys also obviously were going through the beginning parts of their rehab process together last year, because obviously Malik went down in, was it week 4? And then Cam went down in week, was it 8?
Middle of the year.
7 or 8. So Cam and Malik were not, they were pretty close together, especially those first couple of months. And Scat talked about how, they were really going through, the initial, the slog, the toughest parts. They were going through that together. Now, Scat, obviously, his recovery timeline in general was shorter than Malik's. The initial injury, timeline, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Shorter than Malik. So that's why, obviously, Scat has been back out there since spring practices, really, to some degree, but, basically full go in the summer practices. Malik is not quite there yet, but these guys were going through it together every single day. And Scat, as you mentioned, he's always pumped up, but you could tell that he was especially jacked to see his teammate back out there, and he kind of spoke for everyone when he was sharing his excitement to see. I mean, Malik Nabers is one of the best players on this team. We all know that. Like, it's clear. He's the best playmaker on this offense. So having him out there, everyone's going to be excited. It's only going to help this entire offense, the entire team, to have one of your star players back out there.
Now, speaking of Scatterboo, I got to tell you, folks, he caused quite a chuckle when he got to the podium and he's like, I know a lot of people out there just think I'm crazy. Of course, what else is new, right? But he just loves football, and I did think, okay, now you tell me if you didn't get the same feel, because we have not talked about this. So this is the first time that Matt and I are conversing about this particular subject. But at one point, while Scatterboo said this game is about physicality, and he loves doing what he does, and he loves the rough and tough nature of the game, and he loves bowling people over, he did say, and this may be the first time I heard him say it in such a manner, that, you know what? I'm still learning, and if I can learn to, I know I go through people, but if I can go around people sometimes and maybe, avoid injury and maybe get some extra yards, instead of going through some guy, maybe I go around him and I get an extra 4 or 5 yards. You probably have the quote right up there. I don't remember hearing him talk that way before, or at least to this degree, about, there's some benefit in maybe not necessarily dishing out a hit when I carry the football.
Yeah, I think I'm with you. I think that was the first time I really heard Scat kind of talk like that. He's always been, I'm going to run straight through you. And, obviously we love that about his personality, and that's never going to, completely disappear from his game. But he was talking about how coming back from this injury, he, kind of realized that you don't always have to go through someone. Obviously sometimes that's what the play requires in order to fight for that extra couple yards.
Sure.
But he mentioned, sometimes I could take less hits, try to maneuver better around people instead of through them, and realizing, if I tried to go around instead of trying to go through, I could have picked up another 3 or 4 yards, which is, at the end of the day, more important than just running through a guy to, get jacked up. So it does seem like that, based on what he said yesterday, he is kind of, this injury forced him to sort of come to that understanding and that realization. And I think that's only going to benefit his game. He's a very talented running back that, again, that part, the physicality part, is not going to disappear. That's still part of who he is. It's part of what, Coach Harbaugh is all about. This coaching staff loves physicality.
Well, it's bully ball. That's what the Giants are going to be this year.
100%. But based on what Scat said yesterday, it's clear that, he realizes that sometimes you don't have to go through the guy. Go around and pick up the extra few yards, maybe save yourself and your body from taking that extra hit when it's not exactly necessary. So I think that's just going to help, obviously, with his durability and help him stay out there, hopefully for 17 games this year.
Well, and I bring that up not only because it was unique to hear him talk that way, but also because this is another case now. We just heard about how Nabers react to his injury, right? It's fueling him to come back even better and stronger, if that's possible, because he is just so enlivened, if you will, by being able to come back onto the field. That is how he is trying to make it back mentally and emotionally. Scatterboo seems to have decided, you know what? Maybe sometimes there is a smarter way to carry the football. And both guys, in my opinion, have shown some professional growth as football players with their approach and their attitude and their understanding that, you know what? You can move on from a devastating injury and create something positive out of it. That's how I took it. I look, folks, I've been doing this over 40 years, so believe me, I've seen all kinds of reactions and all kinds of comebacks and failed comebacks from injury. And I can tell you, it is very true. The surgery's one thing, the rehab's another, but the emotions and the mentality that the player comes back with, very important components to him becoming a successful player once again. And I like what I heard yesterday. That's the bottom line to tie this thing all up.
Yeah, I'm with you. Nothing else to add there.
201-939-4513 is our phone number. Okay, go ahead, Matt. What do you got for us?
Just, some breaking news reports are saying from Ian Rappaport, Adam Schefter, all the big guys that the Giants are signing free agent running back Najee Harris. Which obviously Coach spoke yesterday that he was in for a visit and they were kind of evaluating and seeing where he was in his recovery because he's coming off a season-ending torn Achilles last year. I believe it was week.
It was a month into the season. It was a month
around the same time, I think, as Malik's injury. And according to these reports, the two sides have come to an agreement.
Well, let me just say this about Najee Harris. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, and I know you can quickly call up the number, isn't he a 4-time 1,000-yard rusher with the Steelers? I believe 4 times before last year.
Yes, his first 4 seasons.
Then he goes to the Chargers last year, is part of the backup plan, right? I believe Hampton was the starter last year for them, right?
He also, I believe, got hurt pretty early on. They were dealing with a lot of injuries in that running back room.
They were. But
yes, Hampton was in the mix. He didn't start.
He didn't get a lot of carries.
He only played in 3 games. He didn't start any of those 3. Only 15 carries for 61 yards prior to that season-ending injury.
And so he then gets hurt, and we really don't know. We really don't know what he had to offer last year because he got sidelined. Now, what do we know? Well, if he was with the Chargers last year, that means he played for head coach Jim Harbaugh, John Harbaugh's brother. And look, you don't need to put 2 and 2 together to know that John Harbaugh has done all of his research and figured out everything that there is to know about Najee Harris. Now, if the Chargers decided to move on because of either salary cap implications or they didn't want to wait for the player to rehab, that's their business. That doesn't mean that the player can't help you. And I'm sure that when John decided with the Giants personnel people that they wanted to make this phone call and bring Harris in for a visit, as Coach Harbaugh mentioned yesterday, he's like, look, we do the investigation. It's due diligence. You always want to check guys out.
Always.
And he is a, by the way, bully ball style of runner. Okay? He does fit exactly what the Giants would like to do. And Dante Miller was waived injured. We had heard the previous day from Coach Harbaugh that there was a groin issue. So the Giants were down 1 running back going into practice today. And so Harris appears, according to NFL Network.
Yeah.
It appears, according to NFL Network, that he will be next up.
Yeah. Look, Coach has plenty of familiarity with him. Obviously, they were in that same division, the AFC North, for those first 4 seasons that Najee had 1,000 yards each year. Coach was going up against him twice a year in all 4 of those seasons. So when he was asked about him yesterday, I'm just going to read just the very beginning part of the quote, because most of it is about the recovering from the Achilles injury. But the very first thing he said was, I felt like the hair on the back of my neck stood up when I saw him over there, He is a big dude. I mean, again, that was Coach speaking. Najee Harris is 6 foot. I think he's listed as 6'1", around 240 pounds. He's massive. He is a big, big man. And yeah, I mean, look, Giants have made it clear that when it comes to running the football, they want to play, all across the board, they want to play physical, but they want to play that bully ball type of running the football. Najee Harris, based on what he's done, we'll throw out last year because obviously he got cut short due to injury. Those first 4 seasons, it wasn't perfect, obviously, but that's big physical bully ball type of running back.
Well, let's not forget what he did at Alabama.
Of course.
It was bully ball with the Tide, too, and as Howard Cross would remind us if he was here in the room.
And when he was playing those first 4 years in Pittsburgh, just keep in mind that he wasn't playing behind the greatest offensive lines during those years.
No, he was not.
So not that is where all the blame goes, of course, but certainly didn't help.
All right, let's go to the phones. And Roberto is in Florida. You're first on Big Blue Kickoff Live. Hello.
Hey, Paulie. Oh my God, I'm first. Hey, Paulie, check
Yes.
this out. You know, I call myself Mr. Excitement,
Mr.
right?
Excitement,
But,
of course.
listen.
Come on. What else could you possibly call yourself?
Man, look, it's Florida. I'm alive. I ain't pushing up daisies. It's a beautiful day. But
Yes,
listen,
sir.
I am the scatterboo from a nursing home type of fan. I'm the nursing home scatterboo type of guy. But listen, I left some things yesterday, right? And this is going to be brief, right? Now, listen, the durability of let's say Scatterboo physically and Jameis, right? How you think it's looking for the 9 offensive linemen, right? And the 2 quarterbacks, right? Because I mean, let's face it, that would bring some help for that super tight linebacker group room and of course the receiving room.
Roberto,
Right?
you're kind of losing me here just a little bit. So you're trying to establish that the Giants will keep 9 offensive linemen and only 2 quarterbacks. Are you more asking us about the numbers on the roster?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Wouldn't that be like?
Okay,
I just don't
yes.
see. I just don't see the 3 quarterback.
And 9
acquisition.
offensive linemen is the most common number for the 53. That
I
is.
thought it was 10.
Some will go 10. It depends on how heavy you want to go with the big boys up front. Harbaugh is a bully ball guy, right? So it would not surprise me if he goes 10. It would not surprise me at all.
No.
But a lot of guys will go 9, especially when you've got the 3 practice squad activations per player from your practice squad, and you have 17 guys in your practice squad. So there are some coaches who will kind of use those activations kind of, throughout the course of the season and fill in that extra spot. But it'll be 9 or 10. I think it's pretty logical to say. Now, I raised the issue, I think maybe with you 2 weeks ago, did I? Or maybe last week, that, there's a trend now, okay, after 2 years ago when over half the quarterbacks in the league got hurt, to try to keep 3 on the active 53. But I don't think there's anything that says you have to. And I started to ask the question a week and a half, 2 weeks ago. Wouldn't you think that maybe if you're trying to open up a roster spot for one of those crowded rooms, like the wide receiver room, maybe you only go with 2 active on the 53?
Yeah,
That
look,
sounds
I mean,
good.
it's possible. I mean, right now, after yesterday, the Giants now have 4 quarterbacks on the roster.
They do.
Of course, because Jake Hayner was signed, so he joins Brandon Allen, Jameis Winston, and obviously Jackson Dart. So there are 4 guys in that room now. We don't know. I don't know if coach has even been asked, really, or if he has, he certainly isn't going to shed too much light onto that question.
Probably not.
On August 18th about how many quarterbacks they intend on keeping on the active roster. But there's one thing about the O-line numbers, which again we don't know. He has not spoken about, nor is he going to probably about the number of
he will
guys at
not.
each position. But one thing to keep in mind is that the Giants will have Pat Ricard on the team. He is going to obviously make the 53-man roster, and we don't know how the tight end room exactly is going to shake out, but Chris Manhertz is the best blocking tight end on this roster as well. So if the 2 of those guys do end up making the 53-man roster, maybe that provides, the blocking necessary where you don't feel like you don't maybe need to have a 10th guy. Maybe you give that depth a little bit more to a different position. We don't know. These are all questions that obviously will be answered in a little under 2 weeks from now, because cutdown day is early this year, Sunday, August 30th. Can't really, we really don't know. We've never had a cutdown day at training camp with this mix of coaching staff with front office, so we can't really speak as to what we think they're going to do because we don't know.
I'll tell you this, Roberto. Whenever you see the Giants 53 come out, that would be on August 30th. That's Sunday, August 30th. That's when the initial 53 has to be released, right? I'm pretty confident, and it's not because I think the Giants are poorly constructed. When in the past we'd always say, well, you could see 4 or 5 or even 6 guys change. in the next week or so. I'm pretty confident there's going to be a couple of guys changing at the bottom of that roster, not because the Giants are poorly constructed, but I think it's going to be a very interesting debate as to what position room you're going to have to jockey with, because you've got some guys who can do special teams, other guys can't do special teams, some guys maybe a little bit nicked up, and you're going to have to do this and that, and you're going to want to finagle. And then, okay, well, let's see, which guys can we get to the practice squad? Because we like them as insurance, but we got to make sure that they don't get scapped up by somebody. And there are, depending upon the timing and when you waive guys and what they've done during the preseason, sometimes you can kind of cloak those guys through. So there's going to be a lot to say and a lot to do in the final week or so leading up to that first regular season game.
Yeah, we don't know, obviously, what the other 31 teams around the NFL are going to do.
No doubt.
Like Joe Schoen and John Harbaugh both made it very clear that they are always looking for ways to improve this roster, and they are not going to shut the door on anything that could help this team get even just a little bit better. So a lot of it is going to depend on also what the other teams do. If another team cuts a guy that, this coaching staff and front office are very high on, they might want to take a chance on him, which could then lead to, even after the initial 53-man roster, additional moves that are made, guys getting swapped out. So there's still a lot to play out over the next, I'll say, 2 full weeks, because the next couple days after the cut down day is when you see waiver claims being made and stuff. So, 2+ weeks, we'll get a little bit better idea of the initial, maybe not the initial 53, but the initial, the second initial 53, leading into week 1 roster, whatever you want to call it.
All right, Roberto, what else you got?
All right, check this out. Remember, I heard Scatterbull, right? And he mentioned about maybe instead of being so aggressive, he could work on being more elusive and, like getting 3-4 more yards.
Yep.
Also, that's a good thing coming from him.
Sure it is.
Because, the NFL, it's not for long.
And by the way, we should add, Roberto, and I'll let you finish in a moment, we should add that both he and John Harbaugh have indicated even Scatterbull is not at 100% yet. He's pretty close, at least from what we could see from his actions out on the field. But even he is not fully 100% and ready to go. But there's still time before the Cowboys game, so I wouldn't be in any kind of concern about that.
And the last thing is, man, I tell you that the reason I said about the 9 and 2 quarterbacks, listen, Odell looks super sharp, and with that, I talk to you in about 2-3 months from now.
Roberto.
That's not right?
Of course not. You're going to try to call us again tomorrow.
No.
You have a good day, my man.
I give other people a break. God bless you guys, man, and keep up the good work.
Thanks for joining us again today.
Thank you, Roberto.
201-939-4513.
I mean, Odell has looked good. He really has.
The funny part about this is we saw Braxton Berrios with 2-punt returns the other day against Minnesota, and we mentioned it on yesterday's show. We know that Austin is an accomplished return guy. Odell, he was a part-time return guy on punts for the Giants when he was here the first time. I haven't seen any appetite to put him back on returns since he has returned. So that's going to be one of the components that are going to be left open when you talk about checking boxes. I do believe the special teams box is going to be left unchecked for Odell, which means he's got to make sure he checks all the other boxes if he's going to squeeze into the 53.
Yeah. I mean, look, I think Coach Joe, everyone has made it clear that they are going to take the best players at each position. It doesn't matter what has been accomplished in the past, what your situation was to arrive in East Rutherford to begin with. None of that really matters. It's about going out there, earning your spot, whether it's in the starting lineup, as a reserve, earning your spot on this team. Everything is up for grabs. No spot is just being handed out to anyone. So, I mean, I feel confident in saying that they are going to take the best wide receivers that can help this team win in the most amount of ways, period.
He has not missed a practice.
No, he's been out there. he's making guys miss. Like, he's running, even though he's maybe has not, not catching from Odell 10 years ago, the 10, 12 passes a game or a day. Like, he's running routes. He's getting open. He's creating separation. Even if the ball doesn't get to him every single time, you can still watch the film and see that he is creating that separation, which I would think would obviously help his case. But there's a lot of different factors that go into who will end up making this team at the wide receiver position, special teams being a big one. So going to have to see how the next couple of weeks play out.
Yeah, no doubt. I do think that when you watch Odell in practice, and of course we got to watch him a little bit in the game the other day, he does look like, even at going on 34 years old, he is capable of playing in this league. He is capable of making an NFL roster, which, by the way, should not be a surprise to anybody, because John Harbaugh told us before they signed that, I don't know if you remember the presser he had on the patio, he said, I'm pretty confident he could make a 53. That's not really the question. The question is, can he stay healthy? Can he remain durable? Can his body take the pounding of going through another NFL season? And of course, the other question becomes, do you have room on your roster given the special teams question? But the debate over whether or not he could still be capable enough to play, I'll be honest with you, I don't think anybody doubts that right now.
I'm with you.
All right.
Shown enough these first few weeks of camp, at least.
We go back to the phones. Drew in West Palm Beach, Florida. You're next on Big Blue Kickoff Live. Hello.
How you guys doing?
Hi, how are you?
How are you, Drew?
I'm good. I just got off school. I was 16 years old, and I had to come in. I'm a huge Giants fan, and I had to come in and talk.
Please.
Appreciate the call.
Yeah. So my conversation I want to talk about was the wide receiver room.
Yes.
And as a big Giants fan, I stay updated on them a lot, and the depth chart and everything. And I just kind of wanted to know what you think of guys like Dalen Cambry, Xavier Gibson, Braxton Berrios, and how you think their special teams impact could affect them making the team.
We were just talking about this.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I mean, obviously, Braxton Berrios is a accomplished returner who's made an All-Pro as a returner. Calvin Austin has had plenty of experience returning kicks before. That can only help these guys make the team. Dalen Cambry obviously has not done it quite in a NFL regular season yet, but has shown, the skill set to do it in training camp and practices. So I think having that ability to play and contribute on special teams is only going to help those three receivers that you specifically mentioned to help them make the team. Now, it's going to be tough if you have 6 wide receivers. I don't know if everyone from that group can make it, but all of those guys, the 3 guys that you mentioned have all been looking good at practice.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cambry's good in kick coverage too.
To make it special teams wise.
Yeah, kick coverage is a big part of this, and John Harbaugh understands the value of guys who can get down there and make plays and alter field position. It's not just the return game. When we say special teams, we're not just talking about returns. It's also about coverage.
Yeah.
And
absolutely.
And you know what? I was just talking to Zach Diassi yesterday for another show that I'm doing later on tonight. And I talked to Zach about the fact that when he was long snapping for the Giants on the punt team, there were several seasons he had double-digit tackles as the snapper on the punt team. That does not happen very often, okay? And I asked him, I said, look, have you had a chance to see Ben Mann? He's like, yeah, well, Zach was at practice last week.
Yep.
And he said he talked to him, but, he could not necessarily say whether or not Mann is going to provide that kind of tackling support to the punt team. He thinks he's a terrific snapper. He likes his ability to get the ball back there. He's very, very high on him as a snapper. But Zach gave you that bonus of actually getting downfield and making tackles. I mean, he was really, really good at that. I don't think you can expect that out of Ben Mann as a rookie. He hasn't shown it to this point, and I don't think you can expect that, which means your gunners have to be particularly efficient because you're not going to get much help, I don't think, from the long snapper and getting tackled.
And on that subject, both Dalen Cambry and Malachi Fields had tackles in the preseason opener.
Mm-hmm.
on Saturday. Those are obviously wide receivers that are taking their special teams roles seriously and contributing, finding any way to help contribute to help this team win.
I'm a big Art Green fan myself. I think he's the best gunner on the team, and returning from last year, we already have seen what he can do in a real game, and Art Green gets after it. I like him a lot.
Love that.
Okay?
What's up?
Go ahead.
Oh, I had just one more question, and it's not about the wide receiver room, but you guys' points are all correct. Obviously, not just a return game, but coverage. I kind of pinpointed those guys. Obviously, Barrios and Gibson were returners, but I saw Cambry's tackle in the preseason game and kind of all aspects of it. And, with the UDFA long snapper, you guys definitely hit the mark on that. My final question is about the running backs. And obviously, just a couple minutes ago, we signed Najee Harris. My question is, do you think that Dante Turbo Miller was the right guy to waive to pave the way for Najee Harris to make the team?
He was waived injured.
Yeah, he got hurt.
I mean, he was waived injured. There's a difference between being waived and waived injured. He was involved with a play late in the game against Minnesota. If you remember watching it, he got up slowly and then went off to the sideline. And then Coach Harbaugh told us the next day that they thought it might be a soft tissue injury, potentially a groin thing. So in all likelihood, that probably would have sidelined him for a couple of weeks anyway, if not more.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I understand that. My point really being is that he had shown flashes in other preseason games beforehand.
I'm a big Turbo fan. Please don't misunderstand. I'm a big Turbo fan.
Of course. But
right now, he's the unlucky guy.
What has it been more effective to maybe cut a guy maybe like Ryan Miller or someone with a depth in the wide receiver game to bring in someone? Maybe you could wait on Dante Turbo Miller after he comes back healthy.
It's very difficult when you're at this stage of training camp to hold on to a guy who is going to be unavailable, especially if he's a fringe guy. If it's one of your starters and he's in the trainer's room, you understand that. But if he's a fringe guy and he's hurt and he's in the trainer's room, it's very hard for coaches to try to hold on to them. They got to get guys out here who can practice, who can show them something in these final weeks of the summer. And so, no, look, as much as I'm a big Dante Miller fan, I understand.
Yeah, look, we don't know quite the severity of the injury. It was not really disclosed, but clearly it was not just like a little minor, like nothing. Like Coach said after the game, something along the lines of like that's something to monitor and keep an eye on. And then the next day said some sort of soft tissue issue. Well, guy that relies on his speed and explosiveness to play, that's an issue to not, to have a soft tissue injury like that. So it wasn't, I get what you're saying, but it wasn't just, it's not like they just decided, we're just going to waive Turbo. Like, got hurt and
definitely
they swapped in a running back for a running back.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
1 for 1.
Absolutely. And the Najee Harris signing, I actually think is terrific for what they did. Bring him in, working him out, and now if he's fully healthy, I think they could definitely produce on that.
Well, we'll see if he can make the team.
Hey, thank you guys so much. Appreciate it.
Thanks for the call.
Thanks, Drew.
Yeah.
Call again. 201-939-4513. A couple of promotional announcements, as we always do during the portion of the program, the middle portion, the Giants Huddle podcast. All kinds of interviews with Giants folks, NFL dignitaries, experts, and former coaches, and all kinds of good stuff on those long-form interviews. And, Matt, I always ask you, do we have anything going up either today or tomorrow on the Huddle?
Well, I believe after our show yesterday, there was one posted. Let me just make sure that it is up. Yes, yesterday was Nate Tice.
Mm-hmm.
John had a conversation with Nate Tice, who I believe is now with Yahoo Sports.
Yes.
And we do have one that went up today, and it was the guy that was at practice yesterday, the one and only Jay Glazer from Fox Sports. Talked Jackson Dart, the offense, what he's seen from the Giants defense, and a little breakdown of the whole NFC East. So both of those are all already up. So go give them a watch.
Locked and loaded.
Give them a listen.
That's the Giants Huddle podcast on all of your favorite podcast platforms. You can secure your 2026 season tickets and be there for every New York Giants home game at MetLife Stadium. Take your game day experience to the next level all season long with member-only events, exclusive access on game days, and more. Join the Giants family today by visiting giants.com/tickets to learn more. Also, the Giants Foundation will host a 5K Racing Kids Run presented by Quest. That will be Sunday, November 8th at 9 a.m. at MetLife Stadium. Net proceeds will benefit the Giants Foundation. All participants receive a commemorative T-shirt. After the race, there'll be a post-race festival, appearances by Giants legends, and a live DJ. Register now at giants.com/5K. The Giants Foundation is a 501c3 non-profit corporation. We go back to the phones. Elijah in West Virginia. You're next on Big Blue Kickoff Live. Hello.
Yeah, how y'all doing today?
Oh, well,
Good.
How are you, sir?
How are you?
Great day to me. I'm very blessed. You know, as a lifelong Giants fan, you know, I can honestly say I don't think I've ever been this more optimistic for our team for a while.
Okay.
You know, just a lot of great additions. You know, obviously the big elephant in the room, John Harbaugh joining our team. You know, my only question is, you know, with the way our defensive back room looks, we do have, you know, some minor injuries, and, you know, with the up and down play in training camp, how do we really feel right now in the step we're heading going into the season? You know, Paulson Adebo, up and down camp, little questionable. Deontay Banks, you know, we really didn't expect to have such a progress this year in camp, doing better. But, you know, how much do we really trust it could go back into potentially rookie year, Deontay Banks? I just wanted to get y'all input on that.
Well, you know, the other day against Minnesota, because of Newsome, Phillips, Adebo, they all didn't play. And they're part of this cornerback competition. It's kind of hard to start judging the gauge when it's been a nip and tuck battle for all these guys. Now, Phillips, not so much. I think it's pretty safe to say he has a significant leg up on the slot corner. I think Adarius Washington, to me, probably looks like the best backup at that spot, but I don't think he's beating out Drew Phillips. Right? You with me?
I mean, Ardarius Washington has looked very good and has the familiarity with, obviously, John Harbaugh and Denard Wilson, who was with Baltimore 2 years ago.
No doubt.
I think every spot has to be earned, and Drew's just, at least the last, been week or so, 10 days.
Came back yesterday.
Dealing with an injury, came back yesterday. Yeah, so, you know, obviously he's had the experience in the previous, couple seasons as the starting slot corner, but I think he's going to have to earn it just like everyone else.
All right, but the point being, in terms of the boundary corners, it's still a four-way fight for snap.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean,
sure. And for anybody to claim that they have the lead right now, the only thing you can say is that you had some bumps and bruises involved. But does anybody have the lead as far as the tape goes? Well, Tate Banks has had the best off-season from March to August of any of the boundary corners. I feel comfortable saying that. I believe he has. But that doesn't mean he's going to win the job.
It helps that those injured corners that you mentioned, I believe they all returned yesterday. They were all out there at some point.
I did see Adebo and Newsome and Phillips. All
at
of
least
them.
for a handful of snaps during team drill. So obviously that is a good sign that the group overall is getting healthier. One thing we haven't really discussed is what about Newsome, him lining up at least sometimes in the slot. Has shown the ability previously in his career to do that. Obviously he's experienced both inside and outside. Just think, if you want to just try to get your absolute best players out there, at least in some alignments, I could see that as potentially happening.
I think it's possible, especially if the opponent is going to use a big slot.
Yeah.
Now that goes back to how many times have I said this to you guys for months? It's going to be a mix and match thing.
Oh, for sure.
that's the way this scheme is designed. There's a mix and match. They've got the ability now, enough of checkerboard pieces that they can mix and match depending upon the opponent.
Yeah, and they also Denard Wilson's made it very clear that he wants to cause confusion for the opponent as well. He doesn't want the opponent to be able to predict what the Giants defense is going to do on any given play. So part of that is definitely going to involve, mixing in some personnel that may catch the other team off guard a little bit.
I mean, if you're playing a team that uses their tight end as a flex and he's playing big slot and he's 6'4", Drew Phillips is going to have a really hard time trying to man up on that, right? I mean, let's just be honest about it. That might be a time where you're going to say, hey, Greg Newsome, you want to take a few reps in the slot there because you're a better physical matchup against that guy. I can see it. Is that all?
Yeah. Just one more question. Still piggybacking on that defensive back room with Deonte Banks and Paulson Adebo. Like we said, like y'all said with Denard Wilson bringing in a different defensive scheme, and who we both thought, with this defensive change, it could seem to mold a little bit more better for Deonte and Paulson.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think with Deonte Banks' improvement in the defensive scheme and Paulson somewhat, I won't say decline yet, but more unimpressive results? Do you think that's more on Deonte's progression or a little concerned with Paulson?
Well, I think Tay Banks is approaching this season like he should. It's his contract year. The Giants did not pick up his fifth-year option, and he knows that he has to restore the luster to his stature. I mean, he was a very promising rookie. When the Giants took him in the first round, he had a really strong rookie season and showed an awful lot of flashes. And then things went backwards. If he doesn't ball out this year and play really, really well, what's the demand going to be for him? He's going to be an also-ran. He's going to be just the guy who's looking to try to stay in the league. If he plays really well, maybe the Giants decide they want to keep him. And if they don't, somebody else is going to pony up some money. If he puts on some really good tape, he's going to get some money to go somewhere.
And I don't think it's fair to say Paulson Adebo, however you phrase it, is in a decline. Like last year, obviously was not, the best season of his career, but he was coming off a very, very serious injury. He broke his leg the year before. So you got to give him a little bit more time to, get his football legs fully back. A year further removed from that injury, you'd expect him to look a little bit more like his old self than he did last year.
Thanks, Elijah. Appreciate it.
Thank you for the call.
We'll go back to the phones in just one more second. I think it's important to note, Matt, in dealing with these corners, every coach in the league will tell you, hey, I hope I have at least 3, hopefully 4 guys that I'm confident in, because there is so much passing in today's game. It's a real nightmare these days if you go into an NFL season with only 2 boundary corners that you feel really good about. If your number 3 and 4 boundary corners are guys that you're kind of like timid about putting on the field, you got a problem.
Yeah, I mean, look, for sure, that goes for, I think, every position. You want depth, of course,
yeah, but
corner, especially, I'm with you.
It's like pitching in baseball.
Yeah, no, especially at corner, you definitely want it. So that's why I think it is a good thing the Giants have 4 guys that are right now competing for 2 starting spots. That's good competition. That's only going to help these guys, between Adebo, Banks, Newsome, and Colton Hood, Colton Hood, I mean, he's in his first NFL training camp, going through a rookie cornerback training camp. He's had some ups and downs, but he's shown some really strong flashes of a guy that could develop into a really good corner.
I would say this, and I haven't spoken directly with any of the Giants scouts about this, but I would say that Colton Hood's rapid rise as a rookie to really insert himself into the middle of this competition is probably even a little faster than a lot of people.
Yeah, I mean, he was a second-round pick. You can't, expect going into the offseason that a second-round rookie corner is going to be able to potentially earn a starting spot. But he's at least put himself into the competition, in the mix. He's going to see the field, even if he's not technically one of the starters, he's going to be out there sometimes. Like, he's earned that so far, is on his way to earning playing time. And obviously he needs to continue to grow and develop, but you expect that to happen as a rookie corner. That's one of the positions that is very tough to transition from the college to the pros. All positions are tough, but that one in particular, with how skilled these NFL wide receivers are, is incredibly difficult. So the fact that he seems to be this far along already is obviously a very encouraging sign.
And like every rookie, he'll have to learn the ropes of the NFL. Yesterday, he got a little too handsy and drew a flag in practice, and coach had to scold him a little bit. You gotta, hey, come on. That's what happens in this league. You better get used to it, because that's the way they call it. We go back to the phones. Mo in New Jersey, you're next on the show. Hello.
Hey, what's going on, fellas? How you doing?
Hi, how are you?
How you doing, Mo?
Good. Long-time fan, man. I've been a fan since '86, man. I've been watching the Giants ever since, man. I think I'm going to tell you the truth. This year, people just got to pump their brakes a little bit, slow it down. Everybody, I hear a couple people talking about playoff, this, that, all that. We're coming into a new system, new schemes, new everything. This is, like I mentioned, and I said this the other few weeks ago to other Giant fans. This is not a microwave thing. This is not you pop it in there and boom. You know what I mean? This is a process thing. It's going to take time. One day at a time. This is like the AA meetings. You got to follow the guide, the rules and regulations to be successful in this game.
Right.
But I like our chances to at least, have more wins than last year. I'm a realistic fan. I'm not, holding too much expectations. But
hold on a second, Mo. They won 4 games last year, and I don't think it's a fantasy for anybody to say you'd want to win more than 4 games this year. Given the talent that has been acquired, the coaching staff that has been imported, I think it's only natural and realistic to expect you're going to do much better than 4 wins. I mean, that's not a pipe dream.
No, it's not. But if like a Knicks fan, they broke my heart many years. Like the Giants also.
I hear you.
So I can't put all my eggs in the basket.
That's okay.
You know what I mean?
All right.
But I'm still a diehard. I like the youngsters. I like especially Odell Beckham. I hope he makes the team, man. It's a beautiful story. He should have never left. But thank you, guys. You're doing a good job. God bless you guys, and let's have a good year. Go Giants.
Thank you so much, Mo. Please call again. I think it's really, I guess, unfortunate timing that with John Harbaugh here this year and the Giants having a bunch of exciting young players who we all can't wait to watch. This happened to be the year with the World Cup and the construction, and so we didn't have a lot of fans at training. We had some folks who made the trip to West Virginia, and awesome for them, right? And big applause for everybody who took the trouble and the time and the effort to go to West Virginia. And, of course, all the Giants fans down there, along Tobacco Road, who were able to get over to training camp as well. Awesome. But I think there's a lot of Giants fans in the New York metropolitan area who, unfortunately, they didn't have the opportunity to see these guys over the last several weeks. And I know their juices are flowing, and they probably can't wait, to see this team actually hit the field. And that's why I'll tell you, for one, I get more probably questions on the street when I'm doing my walks and stuff about this team this year than I have in a few years. I mean, people are pumped.
Of course. I mean, it obviously starts with bringing in such an accomplished head coach who has had so much success in the NFL, a Super Bowl championship ring on his finger, and obviously the hope is that one day brings that same success here, starting as soon as this year. But look, I know obviously we're a couple of weeks away from the season. Now is a time with preseason games starting already. Like, now is a time that people want to make all these predictions for the season and stuff like that. But I know it's not the it's not going to be the fun thing to say, but like really the best thing to do is what John Harbaugh is saying that the team is doing, and just take things 1 week at a time. It's not as fun to say, just focus on going 1-0. It's the old like cliche coach speak, but reality, like this year especially, because this is such a young team still, even though there obviously are veterans, older guys on the team at some key positions, but in general, the core of this team is on the younger side. The goal should just be to take steps this year to show progress, and honestly, it starts with just week 1, Dallas Cowboys. Go beat the Cowboys. And then when that is done, focus on week 2 in the Rams. Again, it's not the fun thing to do, but that's, I feel like, the best way to look at this upcoming season. You got to take it 1 week at a time.
I like the way Harbaugh has balanced those expectations, at least verbally, because he has also said several times, I expect to at least to compete for a playoff spot.
Oh, yeah, they're trying to win, of course.
He's not afraid about being confident and assertive and putting that carrot out there and that goal and that standard out there, because he says, hey, you know what? We're going to practice the right way. We're going to do all of our drills the right way. We're going to make sure that everybody understands what the expectations are and where we need to get to. So while he does preach day to day, week to week, he's also not afraid to put the carrot out there at the end of the fishing hook. And I appreciate that, because that's a balance. You don't want to give people a fantasy situation, but you also want people to understand that, hey, you know what? Maybe that is possible if we do everything the right way. You don't want to just ignore it either and say, well, you know what? We're going to go for a year or two to try to figure it out and get there. No. It's within our reach if we do things the right way. I like the way he balances that out. I think it's really good.
Yeah, for sure. Look, he's trying to establish a culture here. He's not trying. He has been since he took over, 7 months ago.
He's a winner,
coming up on
right?
7 months. Yeah.
He's a winner.
He knows how to establish a successful culture for an NFL organization. And that is what he's been doing since the first day he got here. That's what he's continued to do. I mean, you look at those 18 seasons in Baltimore, how many of those seasons were the Ravens at least not competing at the end of the year?
1 year they won less than 8 games. 1 year.
There you go. That would be, obviously the goal here is to just go into every season knowing we're going to be competitive this year. May not end, every season is not going to end in a Super Bowl parade, of course, as nice as that would be. But we just got to get back and want to get back to just having competitive late season football each and every year. And that is the culture that Coach John Harbaugh has been establishing since day one into this building.
And in the meantime, if you're got some free time and spare time, go ahead and look at what's going on with the Rams, because Aaron Donald continues to work out and continues to possibly mull a comeback. And the Giants do play the Rams in week 2 in Los Angeles right after they play Dallas opening night. And I've been very vocal about the fact that if Aaron Donald wants to come back, he should wait till the 3rd game of the season.
Yeah, I mean, we just got news, I think, yesterday that Von Miller officially signed with the Dallas Cowboys, or agreed to deal. I don't know if he's officially signed yet.
Yeah,
with the Dallas Cowboys, who obviously is the Giants' Week 1 opponent.
Mm-hmm.
He does, still now have a couple of weeks to get as close into football shape as possible. Who knows if he'll actually be out there week 1?
Who knows?
But he's also, even, they're both obviously on I would just say the back 9 of their careers. But Aaron Donald, when he left the game a couple of years ago, he still had shown a lot in the tank, where I feel like he obviously has a better chance of being a very big key contributor for the Rams. But all we can hope, is that he takes a couple more weeks to mull it over, because you can't just sign to play in a game the next day. You do need a little bit of time to get into football shape.
Yes,
so
take your time. Take your time.
Maybe wait until after that trip to Australia, the Rams they're taking, then maybe sign. Take a week or two to get into football shape, and then return.
Totally on board with that. Folks, that'll do it for today's episode of Big Blue Kickoff Live, presented by Cadillac, the official luxury vehicle of the New York Football Giants. We come to you from the Giants Podcast Studio, presented by Hackensack Meridian Health. Keep getting better. The show is part of the Giants platforms everywhere, the Giants YouTube channel, and Giants.com/podcasts. From Outside Tech, I'm Paul Dottino. We'll see you next time on Big Blue Kickoff Live. So long, everybody.